something for everyone at Butlins. For the young, the very young, and the not so young. For those who like a lively time, and for those who prefer quiet relaxation.
The holiday camp is big business, and it can cost a good deal more than some other types of holiday. In high season, a family of 4, for instance, could stay in a boarding house in Morecambe, say, or in Bognor, with full board for £30 a week. The very cheapest of all holiday camps would cost the same family £35, and most of them would cost quite a bit more than that, anything up to £62 for the most expensive. On top of this, the average camper will spend between £5 and £15 a week on drinks and funny hats and bingo. Well, for this sort of money, what does the happy camper expect from his camp? Well, some people go to get away from it all. Some go for the good company. Some even go for the food. But most go because there is, as they constantly tell us, always something to do. And everything, of course, is on the spot. Indeed, they are not allowed to call themselves holiday camps officially unless they can provide a certain number of outdoor activities like tennis and swimming, and a certain number of indoor ones like dancing and television, and provide a games room. But there's still an immense difference between what you get in the different camps. Some are complete townships, and it can take you as much as 10 minutes to walk across them to your breakfast. You might get high streets full of shops, acres of billiard tables, batteries of hair dryers, laundries. There are well-equipped nurseries to dump the children in, and the camps echo to the call of the bingo man and throb to the beat of big bands. Other camps may only run to one shop of the iced lolly and naughty postcard type, one ping-pong table, one tennis court, one resident pianist helped out by a jukebox, and the parents themselves take it in turns to do the babysitting. Well, there are 95 different holiday camps in this country, some big chains like Butlins, Pontins, Warners, Madisons. Others are small and independent, but they all have their own particular flavour. And tonight we look at 4, each of a different type. The first is the Butlins at Bognor Regis in Sussex. Although there are only 9 Butlin camps, between them they take 2 out of every 3 people who go to a holiday camp. And whichever Butlins they go to, the pattern is the same. Like the others, the Bognor Butlins has everything. Shops, 2 theatres, 2 pools, 3 ballrooms, 5 bars, there are coffee bars, billiard halls, there's a roller skating rink, a fun fair, acres of chalets, and not very much greenery. If you go off camp without a pass, you might have trouble getting back. But of course, there's no need to go off camp. After all, there's an entertainment staff of 70 organising mass jollity on the spot. If it rains, most of the fun is waterproof, and to the inmates, it's all free. To stay in this haven for a week in the high season will cost each adult £16 to £17. That's if you're prepared to settle for the hike to the lasses and lads. For a bathroom of your own, it's £1 more each grown-up, but you still have to bring your own soap and towel. You'll also have to pay an extra charge if you want a chalet to yourself, instead of sharing it with all your relations. The chalets measure 12 feet by 10 and take up to 4 of you at a time. They all have hot and cold water, all have a standard Butlin pattern of ships on the curtains, and they have rough-cast walls painted yellow and corrugated iron roofs. In some chalets, the pipes go gurgle all through the night. The next camp was the cheapest of all, Gibson's Holiday Centre at Bracklesham Bay in Sussex. Even in high summer, it costs an adult only £10, 17 6 a week in the cheaper chalets. For that, you get 1 pool and not much help with the small children. There's a putting green, a sports field, 1 bar, and 1 ballroom that also serves as a theatre. Most of the 400-odd campers sleep in little wooden huts, which are plain and simple, with few refinements.
Boxes made of ticky-tacky little boxes, little boxes, little boxes, all the same. There's a green one and a pink one, a blue one and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same.
There's only about 400 here. Well, you get to know one another, you sort of nod to everybody you see, but when you go to a big camp with 3,000 or 4,000, well, it's just like being in a big army barracks.
I mean, you're much more friendly, you get to know everybody in a small camp, and apart from that, in a large camp, you can be there all the week and you may not know who's in your next chalet.
I like it at the bigger camps because you can get a bathroom and to each chalet if you do require it.
There's no bathroom here?
No, we have to share toilets and bathrooms. Mind you, I've never had any trouble. We haven't had to queue much for them, but it could be the disadvantage there.
But they've just installed hot and cold water in all chalets. If it rains, the 5 members of the entertainment staff run up some extra whist drives and bingo in the ballroom, or show a film. Our next camp was on Hayling Island in Hampshire. It's the Sunshine Holiday Camp, a trim, compact place for 900 happy campers who are given a lot to do by an entertainment staff of 20 canaries, so called because they used to wear yellow coats, although they now have red ones. None of the chalets has a bathroom, and although some are much glossier than others, you pay £13.10 a week in high season, whichever you have. Any other system, they say, would create jealousy. Finally, Barton Hall, a stately holiday camp based on an old mansion just outside Torquay. It's one of the most expensive of all camps and the gem of the Pontin chain. Its 500 guests have 45 acres of Devonshire to play in, with a dry ski run, a golf course, horses to ride, as well as all the usual trimmings. Barton Hall prefers to be described as a chalet hotel rather than a holiday camp, but although the atmosphere may seem a little more sedate, 7 bluecoats organise the same sort of programme as you get at the more traditional Pontin camps. But although some of the guests have tried other places, they tend to come back to this camp year after year.
Well, I'd rather come to a small unit camp like this than any of the large ones. Where they have about 8,000 people go there. Any time.
Because with the smaller holiday camp, let's face facts, or the chalet hotel, the numbers are small, you get to know everybody quicker, whereas in the larger holiday camp I found, you go in on a Saturday, you meet Joe Bloggs, and you may not see him or her again.
Well, you're right there, John.
It costs a minimum of £18 a week in season, up to £22 in the luxury chalets where there's a bathroom and a tea-making machine. At the Sunshine Camp, early morning tea is brought round with a newspaper, perhaps the only camp where this happens. They reckon that free tea generates enough word-of-mouth recommendation to make it worthwhile.
Good morning, dear. Is this here a newspaper? Thank you very much.
And the early morning has a flavour all its own at Butler.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
You can never turn off the loudspeaker in your chalet.
For when it went, it's fine at Butlin. We never let it spoil your holiday. Good morning, good morning, good morning. There's a good time
and your breakfast will be available at 8:15.
for wet or fine. The sun will always shine on your Butlin holiday.
There are 2 sittings for all meals at Butlin's in Bognor, and each sitting fills 3 dining halls this size. In the busiest weeks of the season, there are 75,000 people in the various Butlin camps, and they all get exactly the same menu. Monday lunch is always roast lamb. There's always chicken on Wednesdays. On Tuesdays, there's always steak pie. 10 million eggs disappear into Butlin's campers every year. 3,000 tons of potatoes, 1.5 million pounds of bacon, 280,000 pounds of boneless leg of lamb. With catering on this scale, an inch on a sausage or an extra slice of peach can make a big dent in a balance sheet. Behind the scenes, everything is weighed and measured. For instance, at Sunday lunch, you'll get, amongst other things, 1.5 ounces of sliced carrot, no more, no less. 4 ounces precisely of roast beef, 3 ounces of spring greens. Afterwards, there'll be 3 ounces of peach with cream. You can always have seconds if you're quick. The meals are kept hot until they're needed in giant steam ovens, and they are not over-adventurous. Indeed, there's nothing in them to startle the taste buds of the very smallest child. After meals, Butlin's scrutineers study the plates to see what finicky campers have left. If the leavings are statistically significant, the offending dish is struck off the menu. Last year, for instance, Butlin's gave steak and kidney pie a whirl for Tuesday lunch. But too much of it stayed on the plates, so now it's plain steak pie instead. If you don't like the main dish, you can ask for a salad.
Satisfied with everything. Food, accommodation, there's nothing you can complain about.
The food is excellent. I find that most children, they enjoy it the same as they would at home.
The food has its fans, but if it isn't to your taste, you can always go down the camp street to the grill room, but there it'll cost you 10 bob for steak and chips. Or you can fill up with hamburgers from the coffee shops, or with 4 bobs worth of fish and chips. Even at the smaller camps, the management doesn't like to waste a penny, and the managing director of the Sunshine Camp keeps a tight control over what goes into his 900 campers.
But immediately a meal is served, I have the costings, the actual costings of that meal on my desk, and any discrepancy on the allowance would show up immediately, and it would call for an investigation. We take about 900 people a week, and of course this has an immediate bearing on the costings. For example, if I added a penny per person to each meal, that would be over £200 in a week.
Of the 4 camps we looked at, Barton Hall, the Pontins camp, was most lavish with its food. But then, of course, it was the most expensive. And the guests get a fairly good wine list to go with it. It's part of the official Pontin creed that food is more important than entertainment. These guests get up to 7 courses with uncamped things like smoked salmon and rainbow trout and a piano tinkling in the background. And as at Gibson's and Sunshine, there's only 1 sitting.
With the bigger camp, do you find that you like this idea of the 2 sittings for breakfast, lunch and dinner?
Definitely not.
Well, I've experienced that part, where I've sat down on the second dinner, the second meal, and I've had pieces of food what's been left on the table from the first sitting, which are not even brushed off.
I mean, if you don't want to go on the first sitting, you don't get the option of first or second sitting. You go on the first sitting, and you're hurried up, because they've got to accommodate the second sitting.
Very true.
More or less got to eat very quickly.
You're pushed away from the tables, aren't you?
Well, then you may not want to get up early.
Very
Might not
true.
be an early riser, like me. I know Fred doesn't get up early in the morning.
Hello, and it's very good afternoon to each and every one in the House of Kent.
At none of these camps do you eat in silence. People tell you things.
Special children's show for children and parents. The remainder of your afternoon programme is exactly as printed. So go out and enjoy yourselves, have a good time, and until we see you later then, this is George saying bye-bye.
This is Radio Batlin calling. Campers are requested not to play ball games of any kind in the chalet lines, as this is apt to disturb neighbours in nearby chalets.
The popular image of the holiday camp is a place where people are led about by redcoats, blue coats, canaries, or those with no coats at all, chivied by Radio Butlins, Radio Gibson, Radio Sunshine, Radio Pontins. Campers, please go to the sports field. Campers, please go to the dance hall. Campers, please stay on camp. But are you drilled into doing things that you don't want to? Well, the people who run the camp say there is no regimentation. They organize the events, they say, not the campers. And if you really want to sit and look at the wallpaper all day, that's all right by them. No one's going to goad you into frenzied activity. But there is at each camp an organized program. At the little Gibson camp, the program of daily events has a somewhat homemade look, and there aren't many items on it. At the Sunshine camp, the day's program is a fuller one. And the big chains, Butlins and Pontins, they have fat books full of advertising telling you what's going on for every minute of every day. At Butlins, indeed, you may not know where to start. There are so many things happening at once, as well as the bingo, morning, noon and night. At the heart of the organized program, there are the competitions, and as a spur to the competitive spirit, there's the house system. Now, Butlins started this, and the others have taken it up. They split the campers into groups like schoolhouses and pit them against each other for all the week's events. Inter-house sports include some curious team games, but you can also win points for your house, Kent or Windsor or Red, Blue, whatever, in individual competitions. In an independent camp like Gibson's, all you may win may be prestige for you and your house, with a small souvenir from the camp shop thrown in. But at the big chain camps like Butlins and Pontins, there's the chance of big money.
The real test for this, of course, is to feel the knot. The knees only, gentlemen. So, ladies, skirts up, please. Skirts up. Would you go and sing them feel along the line?
But even at Pontins, you won't make a mint from your knobbly knees.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lady in the middle has the loveliest knees. Congratulations. There we are. Congratulations to George then, our Nobbly Knees winner. Receives his prize. Before you go, George, we ought to see the knees again that won the prize. Here they are. Wait a minute, watch for it. And there's the knees that won the prize this week in the Nobbly Knees competition.
At Butlins, you still don't get much for your Nobbly Knees. But in other competitions, in a good year, there's something like £20,000 in prizes there for the picking.
Mrs. Lister, the winners of the Dad and His Lad competition. Bonnie Babies competition for the section from birth to 12 months.
Bonnie Babies, mother and child, dad and his lad, nicest family, Miss Junior Fashion, grandest granddad, Darby and Joan, Miss Elegance and young man about town. All bring prizes. But the big money is in the £6,000 National Talent Contest, which discovered Jimmy Tarbuck.
12 months to...
And there's £2,000 in the National Glamorous Granny Stakes, sponsored by a magazine. Thick and fast they come, over 50 winners a week. And all the children who win major competitions get a free holiday next year. There's always the chance, of course, they might bring their parents. Indeed, all the camps put a great deal of effort into keeping the children happy. At Butlins, the fairground is the most obvious attraction. The children can spin themselves sick on the rides all day, for free. But there are other, chancier rides, at Barton Hall, for instance.
Number 3, 9 shillings.
Moment the white flag comes down, away you go.
The Donkey Derby, and one of the high points of the week at Barton Hall, where it costs parents 10 shillings to let their child play jockey for one race. For the spectators, there can be money in it, if by pure chance the moke they fancy at £2 a ticket wins. For the children, the chance of honour and glory.
Number 3 went into me and I fell over. Never mind, darling.
For the donkeys, like these at Sunshine, it's pure schizophrenia. With 42 runners on an afternoon's card and only 14 animals, they're likely to come under starters' orders as Big Frank in one race, only to run later in the day as Camp Charmer or even Kathleen.
I think that must have been a photo. All the smiling winners are down there at the table, collecting that lovely loot.
And for children, there's more money to be made at the Sunshine Balloon Race. The balloon that gets furthest wins them £5.
Let them go, do you understand that? Don't let them go. Let's have your balloons there. No smoking, come on, let's have no smoking there. Here we go. That's the idea. You ready? All together now. 1, 2, go!
As the camp managers say, if you get the children hooked on your particular camp, its program and its own resident uncle, they'll bring their parents back next year.
Now this morning, you know what we're going to do, me hearties? We're going to look for Captain Bubblegum. So we kill him. He's stole the treasure, hasn't he? Come on, me hearties, everybody scream.
Here at Sunshine, the children follow Uncle Dave through thick and thin. At Barton Hall, their unswerving loyalty goes to the blue-coated Uncle Vic and Auntie Glenda. At Butlins, there's a platoon of red-coated uncles and aunties. At Gibson's, however, they do without a full-time uncle or aunt.
Got your Bubblegum.
If you don't happen to have your own eye patch and cutlass, you can get them at the camp shop. Eye patches 6p, swords 2 and 11. And on Thursdays, these children will all be turning into Indians with feathers at 1 and 11 a time. The goings-on at Barton Hall are a little more sedate.
I saw Ghost last night and he went like this. I saw Ghost last night and he went like this. I saw Ghost last night and he went like this. I saw Ghost last night and he went...
The Children's Talent Contest is one event you can be sure of finding, whatever the camp. In fact, everything is fine for the children. Getting them off your hands and keeping them happy is one thing the camps do really well. And at night, the 3 largest camps have babysitters on the prowl, though at Gibson's, parents take it in turns to patrol the chalets themselves. But after the children are put to bed, how well are their parents provided for? In the evenings, the camps suddenly go grown up. Free entertainments, glittering cabarets, big-name bands, blue jokes in the bar review. But whether it's up to Sunday night at the Palladium or closer to Thursday afternoon in the village hall, each camp has its own particular nighttime flavour. At the Bognor Butlins, for instance, there are theatres and bar reviews, but still one of the most popular ways of spending the evenings seem to be the old-time dancing. At Pontins, there are nights of bliss with concerts and cabaret, and a good deal of deadly serious ballroom dancing. At first glance, the Gibson's brochure suggests that a galaxy of stars is waiting to entertain you, but in the event you may find the fun rather more homespun. They're great on sing-songs in the bar. But even in camps where the most elaborate professional entertainments are laid on, the campers are often happiest doing it themselves. In one of the 5 Butlin bars, a happy camper gets his big chance. At Gibson's, they get their camp entertainment from their camp entertainment manager, Gladys the Gibson girl. Then the campers have a go.
Your father? All right! One is one and all alone, and nevermore shall be. I'll sing you 5 songs. Green roll, the rushes roll. What are your 5 songs? Fight for the cymbals at your door, and war with the gospel makers. Green, green, alive! Oh, oh, children, say to you, how's your father? All right!
Make the world go away and get off my shoulder.
At Sunshine, it's your very own canary that sings to you.
Say, and make the world go away. Now I'm sorry if I hurt you.
And later in the evening, there are other attractions. Roulette, for instance.
No more business. No more business. Number 35 place.
Obviously, if what you value above all else is peace and quiet and being on your own, a holiday camp is no place for you. But if you don't mind sweet music being piped to your chalet, or children playing at dawn outside your door, a camp might give you just the holiday you want. But which camp? Well, if exotic cooking is at the top of your list of priorities, you're not likely to go to Butlins. But on the other hand, of the camps we looked at, Butlins at Bognor certainly had the most to do, particularly in wet weather, and the widest choice of evening entertainment. If food and comfort were top of your list, then Barton Hall, costing only £1 or so more rather than Butlins, might be a better choice. There mightn't be as much to do as at Butlins, but it's altogether more spacious and gracious. The Sunshine Camp, the independent, middle-sized one, had one of the fullest programs and the largest number of entertainment staff per camper, and it seemed particularly well organized for the children. And finally, Gibson's, also independent and the cheapest of all in Britain, and the least formal of the ones we looked at. There you'd probably get to know everyone on the camp pretty soon, and you'd find the entertainment more uninhibited than at the other 3 establishments. Well, we've only looked at 4 holiday camps. There are 91 others in this country. So if you like this kind of holiday, you ought to be able to find one that will suit you. And that is the last of our present series of choice programs. Good night.
There's a good time on the way. For wet or fine, the sun will always shine on your perfect holiday. Good evening, good evening, good evening. There's a